What are you looking at over there? I said, what are you looking at?
I'm looking for a wallaby cat.
Huh? What?
A wallaby cat. I said I'm looking for a wallaby cat.
Seems like you're getting deaf in your old age. And very much uglier. But my camera can't handle the ugliness that radiates off your fucking face. No? Okay. Ooh, what is this?
Got you a drink, buddy.
For me? It says best dad ever. Yeah, right. Actually, it's true. You're my only dad. Smells like gasoline.
No, try some.
Okay. Yep, it's gasoline. This weekend coming up, we have two big UFC cards. We have the Ultimate Fighter Finale Season 28, which we're going to talk about first. We're going to talk about the headline. We got Kamaru Usman going up against the former title holder in the 155 division in Rafael dos Anjos. Now, Rafael dos Anjos, in his last 5 fights, he has not had the best of consistency. Obviously, his last fight losing at UFC 225 against the notoriously hated fighter in all of UFC in Colby Covington. Before that, he clearly strung 3 impressive wins against Tarak Safieddine, Neil Magny, and Robbie Lawler. He has faced the best of the best, obviously going against guys like Khabib Nurmagomedov, Anthony Pettis, Nate Diaz, Benson Henderson, and of course, my favorite, the Cowboy. Yeah! And Cowboy Cerrone. So obviously the thing that's clear as day is Rafael dos Anjos is not afraid of these big names, and of course these up-and-comers like we see in Kamaru Usman. Rafael dos Anjos knows how to win, clearly, and he knows how to lose and bounce back, which is also very clear. Now obviously Rafael dos Anjos, he is a fantastically well-rounded MMA fighter. He's got the jiu-jitsu game, he's obviously got that striking game, which he loves to go to so much. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that he can go 25 minutes and still have more gas in the tank to go a 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th round if he freaking had to. Then we look at Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman is coming off a very impressive win, one-sided, mind you, against the former middleweight title contender, Damian Maia. So the one thing that could be noted right there is Kamaru Usman is used to fighting these bigger fighters, guys like Emil Meek, who's also a big-ass motherfucker. Kamaru Usman hasn't faced defeat in over 12 fights. Yeah, you heard it right. He is on a 12-fight win streak. The one thing that we see about Rafael dos Anjos is obviously a tough motherfucker as he is. What we see in the Colby Covington fight is if you put that pressure on, if you close that distance, eliminate those long strikes that Rafael dos Anjos likes to use so much, you see a little bit of frustration coming off of RDA. And I think Kamaru Usman knows that. And I think Kamaru Usman's going to go in there real fast, and he can go that full distance too if needed be to try to close that gap. Sorry, not try. He's going to be able to close that gap against someone like RDA. Press him against the cage, eliminate those weapons, maybe even use some of his wrestling ability and make this a close quarter fight. I think Kamaru Usman and Rafael dos Anjos will probably go to decision. It's going to be an all-out war, but I think Kamaru Usman, what he's going to do is he is going to try to make this more of a wrestling match, as he knows that if there's any weakness at all in the game of Rafael dos Anjos, that would be it. So that is my call. I'm calling Kamaru Usman, even though I don't want him to win because I'm a huge RDA fan, via unanimous decision. Yummy. Now we are going to fly literally across the whole fucking world to Adelaide, Australia, where we have 3 huge fights. Now, are they going to mean anything in terms of the next step into the division? Not necessarily. But these 6 fighters that we're going to talk about are all household names, and some of them are new up-and-coming dangerous motherfuckers. But first on the card, we're obviously going to talk about one of the biggest, baddest heavyweights in all of UFC history, and he is actually stepping up to do his final last MMA fight of all time, and he's doing it at home on Australian soil, even though he's from New Zealand, but he says Australia is his home. Anyway, Mark Hunt is going up against newcomer Justin Willis. Now, if there's any fight in history that is crafted, specifically honed for one fighter to win this, it is this fight right here in favor of Mark Hunt. Not only is he fighting on home soil, but he is also fighting somebody who's, lack of a better, he's voluptuous. I'm just gonna say it. He is quite significantly fatter than Mark Hunt. And the only skill set that he has is also standing up and just trading punches. And that's Mark Hunt's cup of tea. That's all Mark Hunt is known for. He's not a submission expert, wrestling expert. He's none of that. I mean, in terms of silliness rating fights, this fight is amongst the silliest. When we look at Justin Willis's record, sure, the guy is 7-1. Yay! Fucking impressive. Not! Who the hell has he fought? Chase Sherman, Alan Croder. You know what? No, it's enough. You're not going to know any of the names, so it doesn't really matter. But then when we look at Mark Hunt's record, sure, Mark Hunt's coming off a loss, and of course, another loss before that, but in Alexei Oleanik and, of course, Curtis Blades. But fighting guys like Derek Lewis, Alistair Overeem, and Brock Lesnar, two fucking steroid freaks, he is not afraid to go in there with guys that are significantly bigger and stronger than him. And Mark Hunt had experience knocking them the fuck out. So this is going to be one of those fights. Is it going to be technical? Absolutely not. But this is one of those fights that's going to be over in the first round. And of course, it is crafted for Mark Hunt to do that in devastating fashion on home soil so he can retire in the winning column. And I hope he retires because, listen, neither of these guys have an athletic blessing or chance in hell to make it anywhere in this UFC heavyweight division.
Why are you smiling?
Because I think it's hilarious. Top up, please. So if I'm going to say this fight right now, Mark Hunt is going to knock the fuck out of Justin Willis in round 1.
Damn chain on.
Yeah, I got it. We're gonna move up to the light heavyweight division of the fight I absolutely do not want to see. We have Tyson Pedro going up Mauricio Shogun Rua. Now, why do I not want to see this fight? Well, because Mauricio Shogun Rua is one of my favorite fighters of all time, but he does not know when to hang up the gloves and say, that is it, that is a career, I am done. This is no longer for me. But he just keeps going in there and keeps getting the knocked the out. Just ask Anthony Smith. But then obviously when you look at Shogun as well, he still had some impressive wins when everybody counted him out. Obviously beating guys like Corey Anderson, who is in fact a top contender, beating Nogueira, Gian Vellante, still relatively fantastic names. But I mean, even though I do want him to retire, he is 3 in his last 4 fights, which is still says something about his fighting ability. Is his chin still there? Absolutely not. But his striking still does bear significant power. So I just wish he wasn't going up against a guy like Tyson Pedro, because Tyson Pedro is Maui.
The demigod?
No, not Maui.
What can I say except...
That's Moana. Tyson Pedro is coming off a loss, but it's coming from a submission and against former title contender as well in that light heavyweight division in Ovince St. Preux. Does bear significant power, even though he does only have 1 TKO win on his record. But his record is just so small still. He still doesn't have a lot of experience. He's only 7-2. And actually, a lot of his fights are actually coming via submission. So this is one of those fights too where it would probably be smarter for Tyson Pedro to get in there, close the distance with those strikes, but evidently try to take this to the ground, because that is where he is strongest, where he knows Shogun is a devastating Thai striker no matter how shitty his fucking chin is. We know that Shogun Rua can swing for the fences for full 25 minutes. He's shown that time after time again against guys like Alexander Gustafsson and of course Dan Henderson, those significant wars that just literally went on forever. But Tyson Pedro, you're gonna have a problem here because you're gonna have to watch out for those nasty kicks of Shogun Rua. His striking is unorthodox, and Shogun Rua knows what it is like to go against these top champions, and of course against questionably the greatest GOAT in all of MMA in John Jones. He is on Tyson Pedro's home soil. Does that mean a lot to Shogun? Is he opposed to fighting on someone else's home soil? No. This is something he is significantly used to. But this is gonna give Tyson Pedro that fucking energy. Kind of like that same energy where Hector gets when he sees Bonnie in the shower naked.
Oh yeah, baby.
Which is weird because she's a doll. But if I'm going to have to put my money on it, which I have done because Hector took it all from me,
It was like $5.
I'm going to have to say, I hate to say it, but I think this is the end for Shogun. I think he is going to face another devastating loss. Tyson Pedro is hungry. He is going to be relentless. He is younger. I still have faith that he does have a great cardio tank, even though we haven't seen much of it. To be honest, is it going to go past the first round? No, it might not even necessarily do that, because no matter how many times Shogun gets knocked out, he really doesn't know how to take his time and back away. So I think they're both going to meet in the middle right away. Shogun's going to throw some devastating shots, but I think he's just going to get hit with one of those blindsided shots, maybe like an elbow or a hook, and just get caught right on the chin and go fast asleep. Shogun's face has had far too much damage for that chin to sustain any more power, especially from this New Zealander in Tyson Pedro. Now, we are gonna go on to the main event of Australia, mate, where we got one big fucking heavyweight cunt in Tai Tuivasa.
Drop the damn accent.
Fine, Tai Tuivasa is going up against previous heavyweight title holder in Junior Dos Santos. Now, Tai Tuivasa has been begging for this fight. He had Dana by the balls, marinated his hands in lotion, and just cut busted his balls and said,
Please let me fight Junior DeSantos.
let's call a spade a spade. Tai Tuivasa's pretty damn impressive. He's coming off a devastating win, more or less a devastating war against Andrei Arlovski. That's not an easy thing to do because Andrei Arlovski, even though his chin is questionable, he is a heavy hitter and he is a fantastic mixed martial artist with tons of tools. And before that, fighting Cyril Asker. This is going to be a boxing spectacle. I don't think there's going to be very much kicks thrown, at least from Tai Tuivasa's side. I don't think there's going to be any groundwork utilized at all in this fight. I think Tai Tuivasa is going to go in there and try to do what he always does in all of his fights, because most of his fights are coming via TKO or knockout, and he is going to try to put it to Junior DeSantos. But Junior DeSantos, if anybody knows, he questionably has the best boxing in all of MMA, period. That guy could easily go into the heavyweight division of any boxing organization and make a quick name for himself. Junior DeSantos, you know, he knocked the hell out of Cain Velasquez. He's fought Alistair Overeem, Stipe Miocic, Frank Mir, Roy Nelson, Mark Hunt, who's also on the card, and he has devastated more than half of these opponents by knockout or going to decision. So that's one thing too that we don't really see from Tai Tuivasa's side, is Junior DeSantos is a durable motherfucker, and he can go the full 5-minute round. Especially fighting a guy like Cain Velasquez, he got the kicked out of him, but he still stayed in it. It could not be put away for that full 5 minutes, and then almost again in their third rematch, only losing in the 5th round. I think Junior DeSantos is too much of an athlete. They're Oompa Loompa versus the Brazilian Hulk. Like, they don't even look comparable. But it is going to be a slugfest. I have faith in Tai Tuivasa's hands, especially him being on home soil again, that he's going to go out there so energized, and honestly think there's absolutely no question here that this is going to be a war. It's going to be a slugfest, and it's going to be a boxing spectacle in an MMA cage.
That to me makes no sense, bro. They just do boxing.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right, does it? But it's true. I think they are going to go past that first round for sure, exchanging. The crowd's going to go wild. They're both going to be full of that adrenaline and fucking testosterone. But I think near the end of the 2nd round, we're going to see Tai Tuivasa, because obviously his, I'm going to say, fat ass belly, he's just going to get weighed down, and I think they're going to finish the 2nd round, but I think the 3rd round is where Junior DeSantos is going to take over and is just going to prevail with his boxing, rubber him, get him to the ground, and just TKO him until the ref pulls him off. Solely based off of his experience, You think that's funny? I thought that was a helicopter save me, and I look up and it reads a sign, say, ha, you're a fucking loser? Is that for me? You're a loser. But that's my prediction. Junior DeSantos is taking this to the 3rd round. The UFC in Adelaide this coming weekend is going to be phenomenal. And of course, don't forget the Ultimate Fighter 28 finale as well. It's going to be bomb. We have a huge headliner, but also those winners from the Ultimate Fighter 2 cannot be frowned upon, because they could be the next greatest of all time. Doubtful. Thank you so much for watching. Hey, Hector, is it okay? Like, I'll be in your sight, your line of sight. I'm not going to disrespect you, but is it okay if I go look at all of the wallabies and kangaroos and dingoes and didgeridoos and whatever kind of tree climbing cant we can find out there?
Just stop the voice.
Okay, I'll stop the voice.
Fine,
Yeah.
Stay in my sight.
I can? Cool. Okay, guys, enjoy. I'm not disrespecting you. I would never. You're the boss. You're the best dad ever. I would never betray you. Wallabies, kangaroos. Ha! Idiot. We're in Canada. There's none of those animals here.
Oh, I knew it. Oh, well. There's a little teaser. And now.